What is the best way to build up a horse to eating grass in the spring after having hay all winter? Is a half hour at a time each day too much? What would you best time increments to increase each day?
Okay. And then is Karen here?
Oh,
Karen
there she is.
Here.
That's a great question, Karen.
It is, and I liked it. I picked it because I keep thinking we're at spring, and then it keeps not being spring, but someday spring will be here. So good to be ready. I know. I think that introducing a horse to grass is very individual to the horse, because like people, there seem to be horses that have really hardy, digestive systems, and you could do anything with them. Like my horse when I was a kid, he was great. I don't think I could have done anything to cause him to colic. And then the horse I have now, achoo, and it colics. So if you have a horse like my first one, then probably an hour a day, 2 hours a day, pasture. But the horse I have now, I do in 10 to 15 minute increments. And so it takes me weeks and weeks and weeks. It takes me probably a month to get him to full turnout. Most of the papers I've read on this do talk about a 10 to 15 minute interval as the conservative, safe way. But if you can go a half hour, like I tend to go not every day increasing it. I'll go 15 minutes for like 3 days, and then I'll half an hour for 3 days, and then 45 minutes for 3 days. And so you can see how it takes me weeks and weeks. But it also depends too on your pasture. If you have a really super lush green pasture, then you're going to have to err on the more conservative side. And what's the harm in erring on the conservative side unless it's time? Yeah. The other thing that you could do is, and this is something I do too, if I don't hand graze, then I will muzzle him to slow down the consumption. Are you laughing at my horse?
Like a grazing muzzle. It's
a grazing muzzle. Yeah.
Just the way it came off.
Oh, okay. So I'll put the grazing muzzle on just to slow him down further. And I do also try to use my 5th grade, 7th grade earth science training on photosynthesis.
Okay.
What grade was it?
That was like 5th, 6th.
5th, 6th grade. On photosynthesis, where the sun and water and air combine, and the plants use it to photosynthesize, and then they make sugars all day long. And then during the night, they respire, and I called it plant business once, and now I can never live that down. So they do their plant business at night, and they use up the sugar. And so there's a lady at safergrass.org. Her name is Katie Watts. She's a plant scientist. And she says the lowest sugar times for horses are 3 a.m. to 10 a.m. So turn out in the morning. If you're going to do this slow approach to turning out, start in the morning. Like I know it might be better to hand graze at night when you're back from work, but if sugar is at all a concern, then that's not ideal. The last thing I would add, there's always another thing is I like to tell people that at this time of year, like a month before you begin to do this, and then as you've turned out to full, and maybe a month after, just to ease that transition period, add a digestive support supplement. So something with prebiotics, with probiotics, with yeast and enzymes to help their digestive system just make that transition more smoothly, so that the hindgut is stabilized. Because the whole reason we change feed in horses gradually is not because of the horse. They have pretty good chompers, right? It's the bacteria that live in the hindgut. They get shocked easy. They have a very simple life. They don't get exposed to much. And then if one day they're eating hay and the next day it completely changed over to grass, they'll go, oh my goodness, and they just die. And then they release toxins, and then the bad bacteria who are laying in wait, they opportunistically take over. So that's the whole reason. So if you can throw some support in there, like some probiotics and things, it might make the transition go over. I even like a hindgut buffer to ease that transition period. And consider that the spring, I should say this differently, consider that the fall is just as dangerous a time as the spring. So if not more so, because of the photosynthesis, and then the plant business doesn't go on at night once it dips below freezing, below 40 or so. So they make all the sugar during the day, and then they're just like, well, now what do I do with it? Because it's too cold at night to work. So
That's an interesting point because people forget about fall for
they
that
forget about
purpose.
fall, yeah. And then we get lots of fall laminitis, especially if you have a horse with Cushing's disease or that equine metabolic syndrome, and their threshold, their tipping point is very close. All they need is those first freezing days in fall, and then you've tipped them over into a laminitis. Yeah.
So all Karen has to do is do pre and probiotics, get up at 3 o'clock in the morning, and she's good.
Yeah. Well, SmartPak is going to invent an automatic gate opener that opens the gate at 3, and then you just go out at 10 and close it. Yeah, so we'll have that covered for you.
Patent pending.
Right.